This Friday, the 13th, has been a day of tension and worries following Hamas's call for a day of rage and what appears to be the imminent invasion of Israeli ground troops into Gaza. Around the world, security has been beefed up, and here in New York, many have chosen to work remotely so they didn't have to leave home. Jim Murray begins our coverage.
It's a ghost town. The normally bustling sidewalks of New York City were desolate during the morning rush Friday, as many chose to stay home, fearful of the day of rage called for by Hamas.
Every major city's police department across the United States is on an enhanced state of alert.
Multiple internal law enforcement bulletins warning of the potential for domestic violent extremism.
Commuter buses from the suburbs into the city were practically empty. Squads of heavily armed NYPD officers and National Guard units patrolled the bus terminal and major train stations. Every synagogue in Manhattan has a police cruiser parked outside. Some of the city's best-known companies, including Google and Morgan Stanley, gave their employees the option to work from home.
Quite nervous. Don't know what today brings.
I'm shaking right now. I am really scared. I have a little infant at home, and she goes to daycare, and the daycare even messaged that there are concerns about, the safety of the children.
In Los Angeles, several major events were canceled. Here at Fox Studios, striking actors who would usually be manning the picket lines were told to stay home today. 700 movers and shakers in Hollywood signed an open letter in support of Israel, including Wonder Woman Gal Gadot, Jerry Seinfeld, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Michael Douglas. Back in New York, hundreds of pro-Palestinian protesters gathered in downtown Manhattan before making their way to Times Square. There was drama when two guys were placed in handcuffs for allegedly refusing to follow police commands.
This is Stephen Fabian in New York, where you can see a large group of pro-Palestinian protesters have gathered here in Times Square, the crossroads of the world. But joining them, a large NYPD presence here, blocking off this entire area and keeping it separate from counter-protesters.
There is currently no intelligence showing any active threats in New York. But in a moment fraught like this, we will continue to exercise elevated vigilance and impose measures to deter any potential violence.
Crowds gathered in every major city across the globe. The biggest protests were in the Middle East.